Hi guys, Steven here, back with another video. This now is my second live stream video, and this is going to be all about Vince McMahon or the Mr. McMahon, up to you how you want to refer to him. Vinnie Mac, is Vince McMahon fucked? Basically, you know, all these allegations now have been out. You know, everything. With the first one, it was about the affair with the paralegal, and this woman was a 40-year-old, blonde, attractive paralegal that he then had passed on to John Laurinaitis, is what they said, quote in the Wall Street Journal quote, that he had passed her on to John Laurinaitis like a toy, and then that just ended up opened the floodgates to more allegations, and there's been more. And one of the other main ones, it was a 7 million payout, and this was back in, I think it was the woman. He paid her 7 million to keep quiet, $7 million hush money in 2018, and this was a woman. It was she was a female wrestler, and this was from back in 2005. And there's been a lot of speculation online, as to who this woman is, and I think a lot of people, people have an idea of who it is. They can go back and from the story of, she was demoted. I believe she got demoted to OVW. That's the story. So there's not many women when you think about it. I mean, there was quite a fair few releases back in 2005, but I think you can still narrow it down though to the women. It would be maybe the Diva Search girls, but I think people have been able to figure out who it is, and I will get onto that later on this video. But I mean, though, is Vince fucked, basically? Well, it's a tough one to say, to give a clear answer to, because, Vince, throughout the years, Vince is a survivor, McMahon is a survivor, and, he's prospered. And, it seems that all these situations that he's been in before, when it's the stuff to do with the federal government or whatever else, WCW kicking his ass, he always, he always won. He got the last laugh in the end. I always remember that pay per view, Vengeance 2001, and Vince at the very start cut a promo, and he said, "He who laughs last laughs loudest," and that line that always stuck out to me. I always remembered that line. And it's true though. I mean, Vince does get the last laugh, But this one is a little bit different, and it's a little bit different because of the culture. It's a little bit different because, I mean, it goes right back to now. The Me Too movement. You know, I mean, you take the Harvey Weinstein, right? He had a freaking 80 women that he had sexually assaulted. Some rape, some it could be groping, some it could be kissing, some could be whatever. Grabbed her hand and got her to, I won't even get into all those details. It just, but Weinstein was a total just beast though, and a bully and a piece of shit. I don't think Vince is a total scumbag. I think Vince has character. I think he is there's a side of him that is a good guy, but then there is a side of him that is like the fucking devil incarnate. I think it was Jerry Briscoe that said in Vince McMahon's the documentary that they did for McMahon. Oh God, it was back about 15, 16 years ago. That Vince McMahon very much is Jekyll and Hyde, and that was Briscoe is one of McMahon's closest confidants, his closest friends, him and along, him and Pat Patterson were probably two. I'm guessing that man's two closest friends, his best friends. I don't know, but he is very much. He's a strange one. I mean, there's a side of me that likes him and thinks he's a great guy and thinks just the character that he had to, being raised in a trailer park in North Carolina to go and really make something of himself, and the work ethic he has, like he's one of the hardest workers on the planet. I don't think that can be disputed. But then there is a side of him that's quite fucked up. You know, there is a side of him that I don't know what it is when it comes to like the mind games and the manipulation and of talent and people that he's messed around over the years. You know, you hear it, and it's a lot of people that he messes around with. You know, there was Warrior, there was Hogan. Um, I mean, fuck Punk. You could say it because Punk getting his release the letters on the same day of his wedding. You know, these guys know how to play the game. You know what I mean? The McMahons, Vince, Stephanie, Triple H, especially. You know, they've got that side of them that is very calculated, and I dare say that it's malicious. You know, but the thing, I mean, let's go really back to the start with Vince McMahon, right? So Vince, we're led to believe, was raised lower middle class. Um, it was his stepdad and his mom and him in a trailer park in, I believe, North Carolina, or maybe it was South Carolina. I can't quite remember, but and Vince, you know, his stepdad would beat him, would beat him up a lot. You know, I mean, stuff that today is totally just unacceptable. You know what I mean? You don't do that. Obviously, rightfully so. You know, I mean, sure, discipline your kid. You know, have that. You know, there is a way to discipline your kids without just physically hitting them. But I don't know. I mean, Vince has talked before about it. He said that he wanted to kill his stepdad. You know, because he didn't just beat him up; he beat his mother up. So I can't blame him for that. You know, I really can't. But then, you know, Vince ultimately he got into the business. He became a promoter through his biological father, Vince McMahon Sr. And you know, I think Vince did a lot of announcing. He was an announcer, but it wasn't all great for Vince the whole time. Like he had millions in the bank from when he was in his 20s. I mean, Vince struggled. You know, you know, at one point I believe it was around late 70s was on food stamps. You know, he ended up having to take a construction job just, you know, to make ends meet. So he really did struggle. But you know, things started to pick up for him though. And really it was around that point, you know, 83, 84. You know, Hulkamania was running wild. You had that the whole rock and wrestling connection. And then, you know, go to 1985, the first WrestleMania. And that was the one that really that I mean, he gambled everything. He gambled it all. You know, remortgaged his house, put everything on the line with that. And it takes balls, you know, because it's all or nothing. And not many people would have the balls to do that. So I've got a lot of respect for Vince with that, you know. You know, he took a big gamble, but it was a calculated gamble, a calculated risk. Um, and then things started. It took off. You know, you had WrestleMania 2, and then okay, the critics, the purists, won't say that was the greatest WrestleMania, and having it in all the different locations that might have been maybe that was a little bit unnecessary, but that was their way of showing, hey, look at us, look how big we are now. Then then you go to WrestleMania 3. What it was at 93,000. Okay, that they say that's an exaggerated figure. Maybe it was around 75,000 or something. But the Hogan, the Andre match, Hogan doing the body slam. That was obviously a huge moment, one of the biggest WrestleMania moments of all time. And then things took off. Business was booming, but there's still, that was the thing at the time. Vince, everybody knew Vince was the owner, I believe, if you were smart enough. And okay, it wasn't like there was internet back in the day, so not all the fans were smart, But I think everyone still knew Vince was the owner, even though he was an announcer. Vince, what was it? Did that song "Stand Back," and all the other wrestlers there, they were like his band. He was the main guy, which says it all, really. You know what I mean? But the thing is, around this point, there's the accusations there with Vince. There's the stuff about the referee. There's the what was her name? Rita Chatterton, that accused Vince of forcing her to give him oral sex. And, you know, it's, I mean, it's, I think in life, where there's smoke, there's fire. That's what I'm going to say. I mean, and she's come out, spoke on a podcast recently, and I know she was talking a lot about Pat Patterson, about the way he treated her, and obviously different time, and but he was very much against women being in the business, and other people were as well. And it was obviously it stood out, a female referee back in the 80s. I mean now obviously different times now with the women's revolution and equality, but to have a female referee was like unheard of. But she's still out there. She's not like going out of her way to go on all these different chat shows and that and talk. I mean, she spoke to this guy about him, same amount of subscribers as I have. But like I say though, where there's smoke, there's fire. But then you go to 92, 94, and then you had the steroid scandal. And then you had not just the steroid scandal, you had all that sexual abuse shit going on as well. The whole stuff with the accusations to do with, was it Pat Patterson, a couple of other wrestlers about molesting young ring boys and stuff like that. And was it Randy Orton's uncle Barry Orton accused? Was it Pat? I don't know if it was Pat Patterson or someone else in the company at the time of molesting him. And fortunately, the Ortons didn't get blacklisted. Orton became a big star, Randall, and but the thing was though that around that time, Pat Patterson resigned, but then I think after a year or two, he was back. Patterson was back, so it was probably one of those things that Vince said to him, "Hey, just lay low for a bit, let all this shit boil over," and then he was back. Patterson was back, and it is quite the thing about Pat Patterson, the stories you hear. I mean, yeah, you get a lot of people that say what a great guy he was and what a fucking, brilliant matchmaker he was, and, producer, agent, whatever you want to, a Finnish guy, but then you do hear all the other stories of him about just not being a good person, looking down on other talent, talking to talent like shit. And then obviously the whole thing with the female referee, I don't doubt it, And then there's all that other sketchy stuff about Patterson and, basically that if you're going to get, you might have to do something, a favor, in order to get a spot in the company, to get in the roster. Go figure. I mean, would it surprise me if this shit went down? It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. It wouldn't at all. Because you see the shit play is in the music business, it's in Hollywood, it's probably in a few other different industries. This is the people there's a game there, and there'll be some people that will play it, others won't. They'll keep their morals and principles intact, But this shit does go on, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if this shit did go on in the WWF at the time. But Vince survived all that though, all that shit. At one point, I think Vince really thought he was going to go to jail, and at that point, Vince wasn't around. The company. Vince, he wasn't doing the commentary. He was who else? Who was doing it at the time? Macho Man, JR, Gorilla Monsoon. But I think they thought that there was a very good chance. There was a very good chance that Vince McMahon could go to jail, and I think it was a Jerry Jarrett that they thought might take his place, but in the end, though, he survived it, and yeah, Vince just survives, and you'll survive, and you'll, and that's the thing. I think it does for me. It goes back to Vince getting the last laugh in the end. That he can shut up the naysayers and his enemies, but and speaking, Vince, Vince has done stuff, obviously done a lot of things that have been very controversial over the years. Vince, the Montreal Screwjob, Vince McMahon. Now this is one that I could do a whole video on this one. Really, I mean, so many people will say, "Oh, was it a work? Was it a shoot?" You know, and I have thought to myself, really, maybe it was a work. Maybe it very well could have been a work. But I mean, I mean, if it was a work, I mean, for the payoff to be that Brett and Vince fight 12, 13 years later at WrestleMania, and then Vince can't hit Brett because Brett's, has had a stroke, so he can't be hit. Brett can hit, but he can't. No one can hit him. I don't think it was the plan all along. That was the payoff. So I don't know. I mean, yes, it's a little bit sketchy, some of the stuff, but I think overall it did happen. But there's some things that are a bit questionable with it, the WCW thrashing the announce table. Little things there that make me think, shit, maybe that it very well was a work. But Vince, if it was a shoot, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm torn. I used to think that Vince was in the right for what he did, but then I think Vince, the way it was done, being that Hart couldn't stand Michaels, he hated him, and fucking, Michaels having him in the sharpshooter of Brett's own hold, and the bell being rung. That, like, I think it was bullshit, to screw that guy over like that. I don't think he deserved that. And the thing about Brett, Brett was selfish, but I don't think Brett would have done that if he was in the shoes of a Shawn Michaels. Brett wouldn't have done that. Brett wouldn't have even done that to Shawn, I don't think, screwed him over like that. I think he would have thought, nah, that's bullshit. I'm not doing it that way. Which I think says a lot about a person's character there. But I suppose you have to give Vince a bit of credit, though, in it with the aftermath. Vince went into the dressing room with Brett and let him get a free punch. Yeah, that does take balls. Not many guys would have the balls to do that. I mean, most guys I know fucking just hate confrontation. Never mind, if you fuck someone over, actually later on thinking about it and thinking, you know what, they deserve a free shot at me. There you go, hands down or hands behind my back. Take your best shot. How many guys do you know that would do that? So that did take some balls there. And then, everything changed after that. I mean, Vince now was the evil boss, Mr. McMahon. Everything just seemed to work out, in the I mean, it would have been. I think that year '97 would have been a great time to be to be a fan back then, because you had ECW was at its best, you had WCW at its best, WWF was getting better, so it was really, that would have been the best fucking time to have been a fan of wrestling, probably. I'm certainly around the Attitude Era. I mean, I became a fan 2000, and then watched old stuff, around 99, some 98, but 97 definitely was a great year. But then business, Attitude Era, boom, WrestleMania 14, Tyson, Austin, we know the whole story, and then business was booming. The Rock, Triple H. That was just the best time to be a wrestling fan. It was cool to be a wrestling fan. It was actually the nerds who didn't like it, But I mean, and then WWF went public. I think it was like around 2000. Then Vince had the XFL. And Vince, I don't know what it is, this fucking football league and this bullshit. I mean, again, I'm not an American, so I don't have the American football up on a pedestal. Soccer, football, that's our sport. But that, but he, it was a gamble. He gave it a try. I don't even know if Vince is a big football fan himself or a big football mark, but he wanted to have his own football league and he tried it. It didn't work. I think it only lasted like one season. But then they bring it back. They had brought it back. I don't know how many did it actually even go on, but then COVID hit, and then fucking Dwayne The Rock Johnson bought it over. So I don't. who knows what the hell is going on? But to try and compete, having an NFL, I mean, good luck. I mean, good luck. I don't know, but hey ho. But then 2001 though, it wasn't just XFL. You had WCW goes out of business, and you know, and that was always very shocking. I can always vaguely remember a mate of mine, like I bumped into him one time and he told me, "Oh, Shane McMahon's bought WCW," and it was weird because obviously that to me as a kid it was quite shocking, but it wasn't totally shocking. I couldn't appreciate just how huge that was at the time. That obviously it wasn't Shane who bought it. It was Vince, but the storyline was Shane bought it. He just bought it underneath his father's nose. But Vince bought his competition. I think it was what 4 million he only had to pay for it in the end. When Bischoff was trying to take over him and it was a consortium, 100 million. But in the end, Vince only bought it for 4 million, which seems it seems kind of odd, But he bought it, and then obviously bloody ECW had gone out of business, and then you have the invasion angle, and obviously a lot of people, obviously now, well not just now, I'm sure then, I was a kid, I didn't know what the internet fans were saying, but a lot of people shit on it, you know, but I still think at the time it was good, I still think that okay, you didn't get Flair, you didn't get Nash, you didn't get Hogan, Steiner, blah blah blah, Goldberg, whatever. But I think with that storyline and everything, the events up against Shane, Stephanie, I still think overall it was good. It was entertaining. I think Austin was very entertaining at this point. You still, then you had The Rock there, Jericho, Angle, Taker, Kane, Big Show. Still a lot of big names there. You know what I mean? I think overall, people give that quite a hard time, that angle. But overall, I think it was quite good. I mean, I still look back fondly and have fond memories of that. And I enjoyed the invasion angle. But, Vince, I mean, like I said, there's been a lot of controversial shit that Vince has done. Vince, the storyline with Trish Stratus was very controversial. And, and then the whole thing was with Linda being in a comatose state the whole time. But then at WrestleMania, she gets up, she gets up off the wheelchair and then kicks McMahon right in the grapefruits. But, I mean, this stuff, though, I mean, the whole, I want a divorce. Like, and a lot, I think that shit played out. I mean, there's apparently the story is that Vince and Linda they split up about 10 years ago, So I think it hasn't come out publicly that they'd split up, but I think Vince kind of accidentally let slip that when he was on the Pat McAfee show, and he said, "My then wife, Linda," and then that was a slip of the tongue there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the hell he's been doing for the past 10 years. If he's got maybe there's a girlfriend there, maybe it's possible. I mean, Christ, Vince has a brother that very few of us even knew about, Rod McMahon. I think his mom passed away not that long ago, but he has a brother, So and then no one really knew about that, It's weird. It's weird. But then you have this again when you go back to the storylines that Vince has done with the women, Trish Stratus, Tori Wilson, you had Sable. I mean, there's probably too many to count, is there? There's Candice Michelle. I mean, I'm sure you could find a couple of other stuff that Vince has done. He's made out with all of these divas and shit, and then Vince, there was there's the whole accusation. Wasn't around the time of the Royal Rumble, 06, the whole thing about him groping a woman at a massage parlor or a tanning salon or some shit. But I think in the end, I don't know, maybe just paid her off. It was settled out of court. I don't know, but again, I think it just goes back to that thing, where there's smoke, there's fire, But thing, I mean, with Vince and Linda, really, I mean, I don't know if they've been divorced, if they've kept on the down low, they've just separated. But I mean, I think, Vince has obviously been a very naughty boy, but it's still not good. I mean, overall, let's be serious about it. I mean, Vince has children, How does Shane feel? How does Stephanie feel? How do the grandchildren feel with all these stories coming out? I mean, it's not good. I mean, as much as I respect Vince and think Vince is like the side of Vince is like, oh, he's a real dude. There's that other side of me that just knows that, like, being somebody that parents have been happily married now for 36 years. I just I couldn't do what he did. Not with children involved. I get it in the world. There's temptation, like I get that, but I still couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't be a cheat. I couldn't. I would not. Certainly could not ever do that with kids involved. But I mean, these allegations, though. I mean, and it was the Wall Street Journal who they first reported the allegations, and the whole thing with the paralegal, and then there's John Laurinaitis, and we've heard stuff about John Laurinaitis before, and the whole thing's about him just looking through these catalogs for underwear models and like, oh, let's pick her. Oh, good, yeah, let's have her in the company. So I think there's stuff there with John Laurinaitis, and I think he was pictured, wasn't he, when it was like a WrestleMania after party? He was pictured with one of the divas. I can't remember the diva, but he's definitely been at it. He loves the ladies, and Christ, he ended up with the mother with the Bella twins, who, let's face it, for a woman that age, was a Kathy. She's attractive. So this guy, obviously has some taste in women. But if he's been fucking going around behind the woman's back, and apparently she had brain cancer, and he went around behind her back at the time with this blonde woman. I imagine, just picture how these women who are secretaries dress. You know what I mean? But that's not fucking good. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, but then, I mean, there's the whole allegation though about there's the £7 million hush money payment, and I think the conclusion that most people on the internet have come to is that the woman is Christy Hemme. She was the one who received the payout. There's been nothing online with Christy Hemme. I haven't heard anything from Christy Hemme. I mean, I don't know who else it could be. I mean, they say she got demoted. I can't recall if Christy Hemme was in the OVW or not. I didn't follow OVW. But there was a demotion there, but then when I heard the word demoted, I thought to myself, well, Raw to SmackDown to many people was a demotion. SmackDown's always kind of been seen as, the B show. Because I do remember Christy Hemme going to SmackDown. Stacey Keibler went to SmackDown at the time. You had, who else? I can't remember all the divas, but went to SmackDown. But I mean, it's very well, more than likely it could be Christy Hemme. I know some people have speculated maybe Joy Giovanni. Vaguely, she had that thing. She was a stupid storyline where I guess she was dating the Big Show or whatever. That didn't last long, that relationship. But I mean, I can't think who else it could have been, unless it was one of those women that was on the Diva Search show. And it's just because these women, most of them were a dime a dozen. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I can't really remember the names of them all. Yeah, I mean, I can't. And more than likely, it's possible it's Christy Hemme, but I mean, she hasn't come out and said anything, but she probably won't. With $7 million, you got plenty of money in the bank. You can live comfortably now. You don't have the everyday problems that that most people have. But again, I say with John, I think John Laurinaitis, though. I mean, he is definitely a guy that's. I mean, obviously he was a heel for a reason. I don't think he's a guy that's very well liked. With the talent, and he's definitely one of those guys. I think from the stories you hear, throws his weight around. Likes to thinks he has this power. Well, he obviously did have power and likes to, I suppose, abuse it a bit. But then I mean, people have mocked Laurinaitis like nonstop for the voice. I'm not even going to try it, but I don't think he was a guy that people respected all that much. But these are the guys. These are the guys, the office stooge types. You got to have a certain character to be like a stooge. You know what I mean? And some guys take pride in being stooges. I know guys personally that like they're very proud to be a stooge. That's like that. That's like their whole identity. You know, it's weird. But I mean, also though, I mean, will more allegations come out with Vince? I mean, maybe. I mean, there could be more. I mean, you hear the stories. I believe it was Francine in an interview said about being told by someone and high up, fairly high up in WWE, that at the time when she was there with the UECW, she said that it was expected of women to go there, low cut tops, show a lot of cleavage, be oiled up, and if you did that, then you got ahead in the company. You know, I don't doubt what she's saying. That's I mean, you see the women even now with this supposed PG era and everybody being woke and whatever. But then it's fine for all these women to be as scantily clad as possible, post semi-nude pics on on Instagram and social media. The double standard in today with the culture, and this could be another whole rant for another time, but the double standards are something else. People can't take a joke and get offended over slightly, a certain language. It could be a bit provocative, pushing the envelope a bit. But then these women that just go online and post like almost virtually like nude pictures. I mean, you think about before that, like the internet back in 2007 or 08, women would be totally embarrassed to do that shit. But now it's just accepted of women to do that. It's crazy. It really is. But there's the whole other shit with McMahon. It's the whole the 14 million unpaid expenses since 2006. And that's what people are saying, but that will be the hush money payments. That will be what that is. I mean, you don't know for sure. I mean, this stuff could be of just just been settled out of court, private, get that account wired, get it transferred to the person right away. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, in the end, though, it's just not good, though. Like, I mean, the way McMahon has gone out, because I think it was pretty much accepted that McMahon, he wasn't going to retire, you know. I mean, 77, most people retire at what, 65? He's still going strong at 77. Warren Buffett's still working, buddy Clinton's still working, doing stuff and speaking engagements all the time, I'm sure. Trump's still working. I mean, these guys are different, because they think differently from just the average person and that will have that structured existence, working a 9 to 5 job, and a couple of kids, 3 bedroom house, the whole deal. But these guys just think differently. They're just on a different level. But I mean, for Vince to retire at 77, it's not just, oh, I want to go now and just lounge around, and play golf. It's not that. I mean, he's definitely been. This is, I mean, I don't know if it's a case of someone talking him into it. Some of his closest people he works with professionally, family, have talked him into this. I mean, he maybe just realizes now that, oh no, more shit could be coming out now, and I'm fucked. But it's just, it is. I mean, it's kind of a shame in a way. I mean, I think Vince, in his mind, Vince would die, with a headset on and gorilla. I think Vince, and probably in his head, thinks that's how I'll be going out. I'm never going to stop doing this shit. But the whole thing with Vince retiring, I mean, that could just be all total BS, I mean, I don't think it'll be still a case of Vince is still there at shows, but Vince could very well just, be working from home and he'll be the one giving direction. And obviously everybody can do video meetings, Zoom, whatever it is that they'll do there in WWE. And then they'll be getting their, Vince will be giving them instructions. But then, Stephanie now is the chairwoman now. Got to get that term right. Triple H now, CEO, whatever it is, in charge of head of creative. I mean, people might think now, obviously the NXT marks, I think, oh, things will be so much better now. They'll re-sign Keith Lee, they'll re-sign Sasha Banks. I mean, they're going to be loving this, you know. But again, I mean, just wait and see, I don't think things are totally going to change. It's not like you're going to go from the bloody U generation to the Attitude Era, I don't trust these fuckers, Triple H and Stephanie. Now if it was Shane, that would be quite interesting. I'd like to see what Shane could do. And if Shane came up with this Raw Underground idea, look, was it a success? No, but it was something different though. It was outside the box. Give the guy credit for trying. Shane could. I'm sure Shane could be very creative, and he'd be good in that spot. But again, you've got the fucking son-in-law there and his big ego, and this is obviously what he wants. My fucking telephone's ringing. I'm just gonna keep letting it ring. But that's the thing. Triple H. This has been a whole chat. This is what I'm trying to get at. It's been a whole chess game, and at one point, Triple H was down and out. He had the cardiac arrest, and then all of a sudden, he's no longer doing the NXT thing. The Fire Regal, the Fire Road Dogg, Samoa Joe, all the other Triple H allies. And I think the only one left at that point was Shawn Michaels. But now, Triple H has now got the power now. This is what he's always wanted. Did Triple H have this plan from the beginning, from the first day the day he stepped foot in the company? I don't know for sure. But Triple H has always been probably somebody that's just always been about power and control. You can be fooled that he really loves the business, but does he? I'm sure there's that genuine, authentic side of him that really is passionate about this business and feels he loves this business more than anyone. But Triple H, though, it's the game. It's about the game. Obviously, he is the game. That wasn't just a gimmick. That was a shoot. But with Vince, though, it is quite kind of, for me, it's quite sad. It's quite sad that he'll be going out this way. Because I think, okay, there's a lot of sketchy, fucked up shit there that he's done. But when you think of all the stuff that he did for wrestling in the industry, ultimately, that's what they say with WWE. Ultimately, is putting smiles on people's faces. And people might think, well, that's just wishy-washy bullshit that they say, but it's true. I had fond childhood memories of watching WWE and thinking back to around this time, maybe when I was a kid, when I was 2000, just watching Raws and SmackDowns, and it takes me back. And it was just entertaining, okay, you treat it like it's real when you're a kid, but it's fake, really. But you get caught up in the moments, And there is a lot of stuff, the good stuff there with wrestling and the sports entertainment, the storylines, the angles, everything. There's a real beauty to it. So there'll be that side of me that, okay, I know, Vince is definitely a fucked up guy, but aren't we all in a way fucked up? We all have our flaws. And, obviously stuff about Vince being a genius, a creative genius. And that's the thing, you find that in life, that all of these people who are geniuses are fucked in the head as well. That goes back to fucking Beethoven and Van Gogh, But, like I said, with this, I put the title for this video, is Vince McMahon fucked? And there is a part of me that feels like he will be fucked. There'll just be more and more shit will come out, and it's almost going to be like that he'll end up he'll be cancelled. But then at the same time, though, Vince is obviously, Vince has been very, what do you call it? I suppose he's been defiant, because when all the allegations came out, it was, oh no, Vince is going to appear to open the show on SmackDown. And then, he's coming out doing the swagger. You've got everyone doing the bow down thing. And it was like nothing had happened, But then, again, it goes back to, again, it's the egos in these people, that they're not just going to run away. They're gonna they're gonna be probably, and probably a part of the reason why they do it is probably to piss off the haters is why they do it. But a lot of it at the same time, it comes down to ego. But I think overall though, like I still have that part of me though that believes that Vince will be okay and he'll survive this. And he'll still come out of this with a fairly good reputation, and that you'll still have all the top guys, all of them from Taker, Flair, Kurt Angle, Rock, Stone Cold, all those top guys will still praise Vince. It won't be like that they'll denounce him and what's the word, disavow him, but I still think that Vince in the end will be fine. Would he come back in the end? I don't know. But I don't think it'll be a case of you'll never see Vince McMahon on WWE television ever again. I still think he'll make appearances here and there. But I still believe there's that part of me though that with Vince, he's a survivor and he can still be that dude that will make sure he'll get the last laugh. And I would say all the way for me, it would be a 50-50. Vince very well could be just fucked and it'll be done. Then I still think Vince, in the end, it will die down, and then he'll be all right. In the end, he'll be okay. But those are my thoughts, guys. I definitely want to do a couple more. Do some more live streams. I know what maybe my next one will be, and maybe another wrestling related one, maybe something to do speaking about music. I was thinking of maybe doing one on the Beatles, maybe getting through the different conspiracy theories types. Maybe you've seen my videos, the Paul is dead videos, and discussing whether is it possible the Beatles did they actually write their own stuff, or they have a team of songwriters? And I definitely want to be getting some more, just creating some more content, really. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts. Hope overall you liked the video. And yeah, so that's me, guys. So take care. Peace. See ya.